Good morning, madam. My name is Roy Dalbucker and I appear before you on behalf of my client, David Adams, who has been charged with criminal damage to a taxi window at the value of £150 and under Section 5 of the Public Disorder Act 1986. I put to you that there are some factors that ought to be considered prior to sentencing. May I proceed to outline the points, madam? I put to you that my client only broke the taxi window as he was trying to get Mrs. Brown and her partner out of the cab, since the cab parked because of him and not them, as it wasn't the cab they had pre-booked. And had they not got into the cab, and then the altercation would not have happened. Had the altercation not have occurred, then the police would not have been called and the second charge would not apply. Madam, may I submit to you that it was due to the alcohol my client had been drinking that caused him to behave in such a manner. Otherwise, he would not be in this situation. Furthermore, Mrs. Brown and her partner not have rushed into the taxi, the dispute would not have occurred, let alone the break of the window. The only damage that occurred was in the taxi window. The profane language used by my client when addressing the officer and Mrs. Brown and her partner were also due to the fact that he had been drinking so. My client was unaware of what he was saying and most likely didn't mean to offend anyone. May I continue to outline my client's personal situation? My client has a steady job at a call center operator as a call center operator. My client also lives at home with his mother, and his mother is suffering from mental illness, and he is the only person available to care for her since his father walked out when he was very young. As I previously mentioned, my client's father has been absent from an early age, so my client has not had a father figure in his life, and it is clear that males need a father figure in life because my client was lacking such. It would be understandable that he'd been acting out now in his later life. Nonetheless, my client is a good person who occasionally mixes with the wrong crowd, as you can see from his previous convictions. My client has had a long-term girlfriend who relies on him to provide for her and their newborn daughter, as she is unable to work. I now have a reference from my client's employer. May I continue? My client is a dedicated employee who works very hard to reach his targets and bonuses. Since the beginning of his employment, he has become a more independent individual and shows a lot more initiative. Furthermore, since the birth of his daughter 2 months ago, he has shown a lot more promise and has matured greatly as a father and is becoming a more responsible individual. May I continue to consider the sentence, madam? Madam, I would urge you not to consider a custodial sentence as this will mean my client will be unable to care of his mother and daughter since he is the sole provider of his family. I would urge you, madam, to consider a community punishment period for a period of 6 months since he was fined 10 months ago and it's clear that the fine has not deterred him from offending again. With this sentence, my client will be able to continue working and be able to keep up with his weekly credit card payments so he doesn't go into default. Also, an 18-month conditional discharge may be appropriate as it is clear that a 12-month conditional discharge has worked previously and is very likely to work again, but for a longer period of time. My client deeply regrets his actions and he has agreed to pay for a taxi window to be repaired. My client has also apologized to the taxi driver, Mrs. Brown, and her partner for the accident. In summary, my client's personal situation and the reference that has been provided by his employer show that my client is a well-rounded individual trying to get his life in order after having mixed with the wrong crowd 2 years ago, by supporting his family and paying off his debt and looking after his ill mother. I put to you, madam, that you consider the sentencing that has been suggested. I wish to conclude that and I'll be happy to address any questions you may have.